Yeah, well, I'm so excited to be here, really honored to get this invitation and just excited to chat about my journey and just more things related to what's happening in the Latina Hispanic community. But my journey to becoming a dietitian, I feel like every person I meet that's become a dietitian at this point has a really wildly different journey from each other, just the way or the thing how things came up together. So it's always so interesting to hear, right? But I'm actually a career shifter. I was doing something very different. I was in media and communications. I was studying that. I was doing photography as a professional photographer too. So doing something very different. But there was something about nutrition that always would catch my attention. So I was debating between, okay, either continue with my studies in media and communications and maybe starting a nutrition course or something, right, to get the hang of it and just try to figure out if that was for me. But then I talked to a mentor of mine and she told me, Mitzi, tell me more about this desire to go into nutrition. What are you interested into in this field? Like what calls your attention? So anyways, I realized that I really wanted to become an expert at it or just become a true resource and just really know how to do it and how to be the best support I could be. And that meant looking into dietetics, right? After I did my research and really looked into what this meant. So I told this mentor, I really want to be the best support I can be and just be able to get credentialed and know all the things, not just a course, right? In nutrition. So she challenged me. She told me if that's something you're passionate about and you want to really dedicate your next couple of years into that, go for it. So I shifted and I started studying again. I basically started from scratch because also I was doing a lot of my studies in Mexico. So because I moved from Mexico to here to the US. So there were a lot of moving pieces during that time, but I decided to go for it and start with my dietetics career at that point. And just looking back, I'm so grateful I did. As I kept moving forward, I realized how much I loved it. And at first, it started with the desire of, okay, I want to learn all about how to implement interventions that are going to do the best for the body, right? My mentality was more like that, a little bit more black and white, like food is everything. But then, of course, it shifted over time into a more into more of the weight inclusive space and realizing that there's so much nuance to nutrition and it's so individualized, of course. So my focus has shifted along the way as I've also moved into more time in the field. So anyways, I finished my studies at Florida International University in Miami, did my internship there as well. And yeah, I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I pivoted, I shifted. As time went on, I realized how passionate I was to offer that support and be that support to people. And I'm just so happy that I shifted and now I'm here. Yeah. One of my core values as a dietitian is to really listen to my clients and to, when they come to me or to us as a practice, we're always wanting to listen to what's important to them, listen to what they like. There's a question in our initial assessment where we ask them, can you tell me what are your top three favorite foods and top three non-favorite foods? So we're always learning and listening to their lived experience and their preferences in terms of what they like, what they don't like. And from that point, we can cater to their preferences and to their cultural preferences too, right? Not only just in general, but also, hey, what are your traditional foods that you really enjoy? And are you eating them regularly? How often? And how do you feel when you eat them? How do you enjoy eating them? In what ways are you eating them? So from their preferences, from what they're already eating, what they're already purchasing for groceries, we help them be able to understand just the nutrition that's already present there. And if they would like to add nutrition to that, we can always do that. If they're open to, hey, Mitzi, I would like more recommendations about other types of things, then we also work with recommendations. But we always like to start with listening because we really believe that it's important that our clients feel understood and that they feel like they're heard about their current context and reality. And from that point on, we can always build and add and create more. But we've seen that that's very successful and people feel heard and understood. And just as a fun story, I have met with so many clients who have come and they've told me, Mitzi, you have no idea how I've been longing for a dietitian who understands what I eat, who understands how I eat, who doesn't tell me, oh, you're eating beans or tacos. Okay, maybe just swap to corn tortillas, sorry, to flour tortillas, or maybe let's swap to other things. Or when there's, of course, not a medical condition or anything, it's just a preference that they have, but they get recommendations that are really just outside of what they've been eating for years, and it ends up being really unsustainable for them, and they stop seeking care because it just doesn't match with what they feel connected to. So when people come and they talk to us about, hey, I love eating this, and can you help me understand how my food is impacting my day-to-day life, or we just break it down, people feel so relieved that they don't have to stop eating those foods and that they can continue to enjoy them. And if they want to add more nutrient density, they're more welcome to do that. And we encourage that, and we tell them how, but they don't have to stop. So that's been eye-opening, and to me just gives me that greater sense of purpose with what I'm doing with this community that's so beautiful and who is really longing to get answers and not be stripped away from the traditions. So it's really good. Yeah. My encouragement would be, my advice would be mm, to know that you have what it takes to be here, and that if there's ever the temptation to compare yourself or your journey with somebody else's, that I encourage you that that's not worth doing, because that's going to strip you away from the beauty of your journey in this field. I was sharing at the beginning, everybody's road is so different that leads them to become an RD. And to me, for example, I started a lot later in life. I was 26, I'm 33 right now. So I really started practicing about a year and a half ago or something like that. So it's been a long journey, but just seeing now the present and what I'm able to do, it's been so worth it. But I know the road can also be challenging. So I just want to say, you got this. I commend you for being strong as you're continuing your studies. You're going to do awesome. Don't compare your journey with somebody else, because your journey is yours and it's beautiful. And you're going to get to the point where you're going to look back and say, like, everything was worth it. And I'm strong and I got this. And you're going to be able to really make a shift in this field as you just continue to move forward in it. So, and regarding the how can we continue to diversify? Well, we need you, right? Especially if you're watching this and you have a different cultural background, or you identify as Hispanic, right? Latina, Latino, Latina. I would say we need you in this field. We are such a small percentage of dietitians at this point. I believe last I saw, I think it was about 9% or 10%, around that number, from, of course, 100%. And the Hispanic population in this nation is really large and it continues to grow. So the ratio of, there's so much demand, there's not enough supply. So we really need to, I think that we really have a great opportunity to contribute to people's lives in this way by providing the support that they're looking for and continuing to just bring the awareness of dietitians too, and just what we can offer, right? And also with our unique background. So I think that we will remember that we are definitely making a contribution and a shift by staying the course and knowing that we are a minority at this point, but hopefully in the future that changes. So I'm excited to see you when you get to the point of being, we're all together as dietitians and making a shift and a contribution. So it's exciting. So I actually, about a month and a half ago, before Christmas or during the Christmas time, right, December, I had this session with one client who she was sharing with me how she wasn't able to go home for Christmas. She lives in the US, but her family's in Mexico actually. And we were talking about we've been doing a lot of work regarding her relationship with food and body. So we've been doing a lot of support in that way where she's been able to really heal from a lot of just dieting and diet culture mentality that's really held back. It has held her back from enjoying food, from finding food freedom in food, and also just being able to take care of herself and her preferences and her needs and everything. So we've been doing a lot of that work. But she told me, hey, Mitzi, I'm not gonna be able to go home. But something I've been doing is that I've been making café de olla every day because that feels like it really connects me with my mom. And I've been doing different recipes that my mom has been telling me on the phone. Like she made pozole, she made other things. And as we were chatting about that, I felt very, very touched by what she was sharing because I thought 4 months ago or so, we've been working, I mean, at this point, about 6 months, a couple of months before, she probably wouldn't have been able to enjoy making pozole because maybe that would have been attached to, I shouldn't be eating that, or maybe that's not that nutritious, or that's not good for me, or quote unquote, right? Like all these different terms that we use around food. And seeing her progress to this point where she was really sensitive that she couldn't go home, but she was able to cook a home-cooked meal that reminded her of home, which was a pozole, without stressing around the food itself, but just enjoying and making that emotional connection to her past and her mom. I started crying during the session, and that has never really happened before. And then she started crying, so we were exchanging tears, and this really nostalgic and beautiful moment of, okay, you healing your relationship with food has gotten you here to be able to, yes, there's sadness that you can go home, but you're able to have your pozole, enjoy it, and not stress around whatever is in the food itself, but you're just connecting to your roots, to your home, to your mom. And that is the beauty of you enjoying this meal right now. And I feel like that's one of the superpowers that we get to carry as dietitians, be able to support people to lose that fear around food that's so prevalent, especially with all the misinformation on social media, and be able to help them connect to where they come from, their families, who they are, what's important to them. And that, I think, is something that I'll never forget. Just that emotional moment of, wow, like you are free to be able to enjoy this food right now. And there's no fear or stress around food that's not allowing you to connect to this part of your life. So that was incredible. I really treasure that moment.